My thought process goes this way. One is that information is the lifeline of democracy. So information flow cannot be chilled, whether it is by law or whether it is through the use of any tool. So information, with its, whether it is disinformation, misinformation, with its full spectrum, it must be allowed to be freely available. Let the people make the decision. Let the persons who access this information, let them make the decision with respect to what is to be believed, what is not to be believed, and what is to be um, relied on. Are we as a society able to use this freedom that is available to us? And of course, all the information that comes to us, are we really equipped to discern between what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, and what is actually no? My thought process in this particular context of disinformation, misinformation, and of course this idea of democracy, which can only be sustained with free flow of information. So how do we? And of course, the all the technological advancements that are coming in, which threatens as well as which aids democracy. So my thought process goes this way. One is that information is the lifeline of democracy. So information flow cannot be chilled, whether it is by law or whether it is through the use of any tool, whether technological tools as such. So we can't have a system where there is a restrictive flow of information. So information, with its, whether it is disinformation, misinformation, with its full spectrum, it must be allowed to be freely available. Let the people make the decision. Let the persons who access this information, let them make a decision with respect to what is to be believed, what is not to be believed, and what is to be um, relied on. All those aspects comes in only later. But free flow of information cannot be chilled, because that chilling is going to kill democracy. So that is the first premise on which my thought process goes on. So liberty of speech is something that is inherent, and it is a fundamental right. It is a human right, and it is valued. And if you look at it, all the legislative interventions as well as the Supreme Court decisions in this regard is with respect to ensuring that free flow. Now, the problem is that we are living in what is known as a post-truth world, where truth is only a version of, say, we don't know what exactly truth is, and everybody has a version of what truth is. So the question is, who will decide what is the truth that should reach the masses, especially in the context of them taking political decisions? So democracy is all about taking political decisions. And in that context, there is a problem, because all kinds of matters come forward. In our newsrooms, the very idea of breaking news itself is indicative that it is what is truth. It is merely an opinion that masquerades as a dissemination of facts, and they are actually doing breaking it. So the question is, are we really equipped as a democracy, as an enlightened population is something that is a sine qua non for a democracy to succeed. So from that perspective, are we as a society able to use this freedom that is available to us? And of course, all the information that comes to us, are we really equipped to discern between what is appropriate, what is not appropriate, and what is actually no inimical to our own best interests? So that is an issue, and that is the issue that we need to deal with, whether it is through legislative framework or whether it is through our educational framework. The aspect of a post-truth world, and whatever appears may be backed by an agenda, which we may not be really equipped to understand. That is a problem. And in that context, you have this idea of disinformation, misinformation, which comes forward without giving the option to the audience to really filter out what is disinformation, what is misinformation, what is truth, what is half truth, what is opinion, what is fact. And sometimes, especially in the context of use of technology and the very fast-paced life that we lead and the availability of information, which is humongous in proportion, that a normal human being is not able to really sift through, we might find it difficult to understand what the position is in real time. And whether something was misinformation, whether it was intended to deceive us, will only be known as time passes by. And during that time frame, the intent of that person who disseminated this information, who intended the misinformation, would have actually succeeded. And this is a challenge that we need to really, that is a reality, that is a challenge that is going to be there. Now, in this context, there are two things that AI is able to do. One is that it can churn out this kind of disinformation. It can churn out half truths. It can get that, there is this anecdotal kind of a thing where it takes a truth, a long time to actually get up and going, while half truth is going to go around the world multiple times, much before truth is even awake. So that is a problem that we as a democracy is going to face. With the use of AI tools, one is that information, disinformation, all these things can be actually created, manipulated, and pumped into the public mind. On the other hand, it is the same AI tools that can only be used for the purpose of actually discovering whether something is actually true or not. Because the data is humongous, we cannot hope for individuals to actually sift through all these things. We need AI tools which can counter this the use of technology for the purpose of disinformation. So in that context, the developments in AI cannot also be curtailed, and we don't know how it is going to evolve. So here also, from a regulatory perspective, from the legislative perspective, it may not be really appropriate time for us to say that this technology is bad, that this kind of development is to be curbed, because those who actually go forward and make this technology available for their users, if they use it, if they use it properly, it's okay. But if they're going to abuse it, then we need a counter, and that counter can only come if the same technology is made available to others also, and they are able to actually go through it and find a counter for that particular aspect of it. So AI, the regulation of AI is also something that is not really in the interest of democracy. From this perspective of AI's ability to generate disinformation, the same AI is another tool that can be used to sift through and identify what exactly is the disinformation. Now, in this particular context, what I can only echo, and that this is the last point that I want to make, is that, and this is something that the Chief Election Commission was also very recently saying in the context of political campaigns, fixing of responsibility is what ultimately matters, because there has to be a time for reckoning. So if somebody is indulging in half-truths, if somebody is misusing or abusing the use of AI, so if somebody is subverting democracy, our ability as a democracy, as a society, is our ability to come back, fix responsibility, and ensure that there is adequate punishment within a properly, within a reasonable amount of time. So for that purpose, we need to fix accountability with respect to the ability to disseminate all kinds of information in social media. It's not that we should resist or restrict this dissemination of information. That should be allowed a free flow, but we should also be able to fix who is providing that information, and that anonymity with respect to your ability to post anything anywhere on social media is something that we need to curb using appropriate devices. And in that particular context, if you look at it, the current existing laws are all adequate enough. The problem is that our law enforcement agencies do not have the right technology which they are able to use, because this technology is also costly, which they are able to use and fix the responsibility in a very reasonable time. Immediate response must be there, and of course, immediate response and the fact that the punishment was actually a person was identified and punishment was given should also be disseminated to the public so that it acts as a deterrent thing. It's just like, you can only prohibit murder, but you cannot actually take away all the tools, because those tools also have other useful applications. So you cannot just take those tools away and say that because it can be used, a knife, a kitchen knife can also be used to kill a person. So you cannot just take away the kitchen knife and say that, okay, we are trying to prevent murder. That is not an appropriate mechanism to protect democracy. So information free flow, AI as a tool which must be used for the purpose of understanding and fixing responsibility on persons who are trying to subvert democracy. This is my thought process. Thank you.